Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So, we are going to focus on the January paper pumpkin kit. The kit is called Kisses and Hugs. And so, it had some really adorable little heart shaped cards, kind of fun fold cards that you could create with this month's kit. So, I'm going to show you what I did with mine. I only created a couple of the fun fold cards. So let me show you. This is what the card looks like. So it's a heart-shaped card and it's just a little fun fold and it's the size of a regular card. So it fits in these regular size envelopes, which of course coordinate with the cards. But I just created 5 of these using the Blushing Bride or the pink color. And then the other 5 cards, I decided to cut them apart to create some additional cards. So I actually created like 16 cards all in total here with this kit. So this is kind of what I don't know if you can see it, but this is what the very vanilla type card looks like. I didn't create any of those. I cut these little heart shapes apart and then I created these little cards. So I'm going to show you how to make some of these with this month's kit. And I also included, I started using the Bouquet of Love dies and the Bouquet of Love hybrid embossing folders. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to take this die out. I'm going to show you how I did that and how to use that hybrid embossing folder. So this is what the embossing folder looks like. I don't know if you can see, it's got a heart shape in the center of it. So I'm going to show you how to use that and we'll make some of these really beautiful cards. So good morning, everybody. All right, so let's move some of these out of the way so I can kind of show you what I did here. Let's see, what should we start with first? Now I got to figure out what to start with. Let's start with this one. So this is what the card base looked like. So there were 3 hearts, just like the pink one. So let me bring the pink one back so you can kind of see. So this was the pink one. And then there was one that was done in this very vanilla. So I just cut these apart right where the folds are. I just cut them all apart. So I had 3 hearts per, per card, I guess. And that's what I used to create these additional cards. So I just cut them apart just like this. And then what I did is I took these hearts and I took of course, some of my own cardstock and I embossed them with this hybrid embossing folder. So I'm going to show you what this looks like and how this works. So this is one of those thicker embossing folders, like one of those 3D type embossing folders, except the difference is in the center here. Let's see if I can put something behind it so you can see. There, hopefully you can see. So in the center here, there's a little heart shape. And so you can emboss your cardstock like this piece. I just embossed it and it left this little heart shape in the center here. So I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to turn it so you can see it a little bit better. Which is really cool. So you have this cute little, heart outline. But you can take the die from the Bouquet of Love set and you can lay that right in your embossing folder like this. And then you take your cardstock. Let's see if I can grab a piece here. Then you take your cardstock and you lay it on top, and then you bring the top of your embossing folder back. And so you can adjust your your cardstock so that because the heart is on both sides, so you're able to see what you're doing. You're able to see where where your heart shape is. So you would just adjust this to where you want it. And then you send this through your embossing machine and it will cut out the heart shape. So it will do something like this. where it cuts out the heart shape in the center. So you can use this heart shape on something else. And then you have this open part in the center, and it adds this little stitching to it too. So it's just really cool that you can cut and emboss with this particular embossing folder at the same time. You can do it at the same time, or you don't have to do it at the same time. You can do it separate, but why wouldn't you do it at the same time? It saves some time. So that's what I used to create these cards for today. So I have a couple of pieces of Blushing Bride cardstock. One is just embossed without cutting it. And then this one is embossed and cut. So I have an extra heart that I can use for additional card making. So I hope that makes sense. All right, let me move this out of the way here. Okay, so for this first card, what I did is I embossed, bring it back. I just embossed it. I didn't cut out the center because I want to use the center with one of those card bases. So I took the little heart-shaped card bases that I cut apart, like this one, and I ran this through that embossing machine with that little heart die in the center to cut out this this really pretty little heart. So I'm going to adhere this right to the front of this card, and then I'll show you what we'll do with it. So the nice thing about the card bases that came in this month's kit is that they have little either gold striping on it or little gold polka dots. So like on the very vanilla, it's gold. You can see the little gold specks in this one. So this was the polka dot one. And then of course the other one was the gold stripe. So you can use either one for the card. So I'm just going to put this over the top. This is just a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of Blushing Bride cardstock that I embossed underneath. And then all I did, since these are a little bit bigger, I just cut off the excess. So the vanilla colored card bases had the polka dot, this gold polka dot. It also had a heart that had X and O on it, and then it had the stripes. So there were 3 different hearts that I could use for my card making. So I'm going to just add this to a piece of very vanilla cardstock. And of course, I'm running out of glue. It wouldn't be a live video if I wasn't running out of glue. So we'll add this to the front. So the embossing folder is just so easy to use. The embossing folder and dies come together, so it's just really gorgeous. I don't know if you guys can see the detail on that. Okay, so that is what I did with the first card base. And then I just took this X and O and I cut it down with my paper trimmer. So I cut it down to 4 inches long so that I could put it right across the bottom of my card. And then I just cut out another little heart using one of the other dies from the set. So I'm just going to add a dimensional here. And I'm just using very vanilla so that it coordinates with that card base. And that's it. So isn't that beautiful? I just love how this turned out with that embossing. And that embossing folder and the heart shape is so pretty. It does come with, you can get it as a bundle. And what did I do with it? Here it is. You can get this die set, coordinates with this particular stamp set, the Love and Happiness stamp set. So there's lots of different sentiments in here that you can use, greetings and sentiments. But I use the ones from the Paper Pumpkin kit, so so that's it. All right, so this is our first card, so that was pretty easy. And then the second one, I might as well show you here. So for this one, this is the one where I just cut out the center. And I'm going to actually use this And one of my card bases, one of the paper pumpkin card bases, I just cut it up into little pieces. So this was one of the hearts. It's got the little gold polka dots on it. So for this particular card, all I'm going to do is adhere this right behind that heart. So you can do this with designer paper. If you don't have the paper pumpkin kit, obviously you can add any kind of designer paper you want behind there, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to add this. Let's go ahead. Let's get a new glue bottle, I think. So I'm just going to add some glue all around here. And I'm going to flip this over because I like to see how my image is going to look. And now I got glue all over my fingers. Let's turn it a little bit. There we go. All right, let me wipe the glue off. Yikes. And now we'll just, oh, for crying out loud. Hang on, I gotta grab a baby wipe. See, that's what happens when I get ahead of myself. All right, I'm gonna wipe the glue off my fingers. All right, so let's move this to the side for a second. I'm going to bring back my card base. So this is just a standard card base that I'm using. I know a lot of you asked that. So it's just a 5.5 by 8.5, and I score it in the middle at 4.25 inches to create the base of my card. So it's just my standard card base that I use. And what I did with the extra pieces, so when I cut apart that little heart shape, or this heart shape, it's not a little heart shape. When I cut apart the big heart shape, then I use these pieces on the corners here just to create this kind of fun look. So of course I did my little paper tearing. I'm actually going to put this one on the bottom, I think. And then this one up on the top. So I want to make sure that my, wherever I put this, that it's going to fit. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to adhere this one right away. We'll start up at the top. So I'm not going to adhere it directly to the edge of the card. I'm just going to leave like a little 1/4 inch matting. And then we're going to do a little paper tearing on this pink piece here. So I shouldn't have added all this glue because I'm not ready for it yet. So we'll wipe that off. Okay, so let's do some paper tearing. So I only want to tear just a little bit of this corner. So I'm just kind of looking to see where the edges of my pieces are. And then I'm just gonna tear a little of this off. And I could even tear a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then this piece down here, before I adhere this, I have to adhere this piece. So I'm going to add this little piece down on the bottom. And same thing, I'm just trying to leave about a 1/4 inch between this piece and the edge of the card. And now I'm going to do the same thing and just kind of figure out how much I can tear off. So a little bit here, but more. So this is just a great way to use up those extra pieces. I just didn't want to throw them away because I don't throw too much away. We can tear a little bit more. There we go. That looks good. Okay, so we'll add this now. Now I can add glue all over the place. And again, you can do this with any pattern paper. You don't necessarily have to have the kit to create this. Just adding a little bit of torn paper, on the corners, just kind of tearing it a little bit, just kind of gives it a fun look. And then having that, that designer paper, or in this case, the card bases from the kit, having that show through just is really, really pretty. Okay, so now I have to get a little greeting here. So I did some embossing with some gold embossing powder on here just to match the gold that was in this particular kit. So I'm going to add my little heart shape. So I just embossed on a scrap piece of very vanilla cardstock, and then I cut out the greeting or the sentiment with one of the heart-shaped dies from this particular set. So we'll just add that. It says sending you love. That's one of the stamps from this month's kit. And then the other thing about this particular die set is it has some little floral die cut shapes that you can use to decorate your cards. So I cut those out of very vanilla cardstock. So everything I'm using today is very vanilla and Blushing Bride. Oops, and I just lost my flower. Here we go. And then we'll add this one. So pretty simple. Just a little bit of paper tearing. And I'm going to add some gold pearls to my flowers. So I'm just using the Take Your Pick tool. It's a great tool for picking up your little tiny pearls or other embellishments. So there we go. How's that? Very pretty. So it's just very simple, very pretty. And like I said, you can do this with any designer paper. You don't necessarily have to have the paper pumpkin kit. But if you do have the paper pumpkin kit, this is a great way to make some additional cards by cutting up those card bases. All right, so then I'm going to show you some of these other cards here. See if I can grab this. So this card, what I did is when I cut out these heart shapes from the kit, it created a little heart on the inside. So when I used that embossing folder, I laid that die, that smaller heart-shaped die down in the center of my embossing folder, and then I cut it out. And then I ended up with a heart that I could use to create additional cards. So like, for example, this one is the striped one. So this is what the striped one looks like. So this piece got embossed. Let me grab that piece here. So this piece gets embossed. They both get embossed, but this little heart shape gets cut out from the inside. So I saved these little heart shapes, and of course I'm making some additional cards with them. So using one of the images from the set, I'm using this X and O image. I'm just going to create a little bit of a background here. And the nice thing about this is they line up great. Hopefully I can line them up during the live, but they line up pretty good across the top. So should be able to, if I stamp this right, we should be able to get two of them across the top. And I'm just using Blushing Bride ink, Blushing Bride cardstock. So I added some to the top, and then I added a set to the bottom. And that's kind of the background for my card. And then I took one of the hearts that I created by, how I just showed you from that card base. Oops. And I'm going to add some gold twine to the back. So I like to wrap just a little bit around my fingers. I'll do it like 3 times. And I gotta get a scissors here. And then let's see, which way do I want it to go? I want it to go that way. And then I just kind of bunch it together and adhere it. Now I gotta look so I do it the right direction. And then I'll just adhere it to the back of my shape, whatever shape I'm using. There we go. So I'm going to use just a little bit of washi tape to just kind of hold this in place. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. So each one turns out just a little bit different. And then I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on this just to kind of hold this twine in place. And of course, then to pop this up on the card. So dimensionals have multiple uses, as you can see. Let's see. And we'll just throw one over here just to kind of hold this over a little bit. There. So that looks good. And then we'll just go ahead and add this. So if you don't have washi tape, you can use Scotch tape or anything that'll just kind of hold down the twine until you're able to get your dimensionals and stuff on it. And then this will go right in the center here. And then I'm going to just add my little sending love heart. So I just stamped probably six or so on a sheet, a little sheet of vanilla cardstock. And then I embossed them and then just cut them all out at the same time instead of doing one at a time. All right, and then we'll just add a couple of the gold pearls. So again, this is just another great card. Not necessarily Valentine's. You can use this for any occasion in which you want to send a little love to your friends or family. So there you go. That's what that looks like. Simple and pretty. So we'll put that to the side. And then this last card idea is very similar to what I just shared with you. The only difference is that we're going to stamp that all the way. I started out stamping it all the way down, but then decided that I wanted to add some torn paper. So, so let's do this. Let's use that X and O again. Move that out of the way a little bit so I have some room. So we'll just stamp it across. And then we'll go underneath. And it's pretty easy to line up, fairly easy to line up. If you have a Stamparatus or a stamp positioning tool, this would be great to use it with. Okay, so we'll do that. So technically I could space them out a little bit more and you could get 4 across your card front. But I'm going to add my famous little torn paper. So I have a 1 3/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece of very vanilla cardstock. And that's what I'm using on the bottom here, just to kind of break that up a little bit. So we'll add this. And then this time I'm using one of the striped hearts that I created with that embossing folder and the die set. So I'm just going to add a couple dimensionals to this. And then we'll pop this up. Oops, let's add one more right in the center there. So then this gets popped up, and this I just kind of put right over the center. So I have an X and O on each side. I just kind of use that center one as a guide. So I added that. And then this, we'll add a little dimensional to this. Now I'm only adding a dimensional to one side and then a little bit of glue on the other side, because the part with the glue is going to rest on top of this bigger heart, and then the other one is popped up so that they're both kind of the same height. And then I ran out of my vanilla twine, so I won't show you how to do the twine, but you can add twine or you can leave it as is. You don't necessarily need to add twine or ribbon. And then you can just add some little embellishments down here on the bottom. And of course, you can decorate it any way you desire. All right, so here's what it looks like with the twine. I really like it with the twine. That's just me, though. Okay, so let me bring back these cards. So these are the 4 cards, 4-card designs that I am sharing with you. And then I have another design that I put together, so I'll share that with you too. So I basically used these 4 designs, these 5 designs. Here's the 5th one. So this one is very similar to the X and the O that I did. The only difference is just how I decorated it. So you can see they're pretty similar. One has the stripes and then one has the polka dot hearts. So these are the designs that I use. You can create quite a few cards with the card bases in the kit. So if you have the paper pumpkin kit and you have this particular hybrid embossing folder and die set, then you can create at least 16 additional cards, I think is what I counted. So, all right, you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed these card ideas, and I hope you enjoyed a look into some of the other products, the Bouquet of Love hybrid embossing folder and die set. So I think it just creates beautiful cards for any occasion. Of course, weddings and anniversaries, this is the perfect set for that as well. So, all right, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Have a great Sunday, and I will talk to you again next week. So take care.